You're watching DDDNN with your host, Todd Todson.
Good evening, I'm Todd Todson, and here are your top stories for the week. Our first story for the night. Martin Shkreli, the man made famous as being a pharma bro, has been denied his request to be released from prison in order for him to, quote, create a vaccine for COVID-19. The judge cited Mr. Shkreli's absolute lack of pharmaceutical credentials and told him to get back to your hole, you cretin. After taking over the Capitol building, protesters of stay-at-home orders in the state of Michigan were shocked when people started calling them the equivalent of domestic terrorists. Despite the screaming, strong-arming, and many openly carried firearms that typically aren't seen as a form of peace. They were further baffled when one of the protesters was charged with terrorism after threatening to kill Gretchen Whitmer, Michigan's governor, apparently not understanding how threats of death could evoke terror. A company in Colombia has started producing hospital beds primarily made from cardboard that can double as coffins. We've heard patients asking doctors to not sugarcoat their prognosis, but if in the hospital you get assigned one of these beds, we think it's safe to assume that your prognosis is, let's say, sugar-free. A new virus has started to spread throughout North America that is causing the untold deaths of rabbits. The virus only affects rabbits and other related animals, which, while good news to some people, is still some cause for concern for the local ecosystems. This hasn't stopped news sources from creating what some are calling as close to being clickbait without actually being clickbait articles. The first hurricane of the year might be forming off the southeast coast of North America, currently called Tropical Depression Arthur. When Florida residents heard about the storm, they replied, "Great, more depression." And our last story for the night. The Chinese human rights activist Chen Qiushi was recently found dead near a dumpster after having been missing since Thursday. Chen became semi-famous after a series of videos criticizing the Chinese regime's handling of COVID-19. Chinese officials have ruled it as a suicide, seemingly taking a page from the Russian book of How to Deal with People That Say Things We Don't Like. Thanks for tuning in to tonight's episode. We do appreciate your continued support. For DDDNN, I'm Todd Todson, signing off for now. And remember, we aren't talking heads, we're talking paper bags. Thank you, and good night. This is a satirical news segment. All comments were completely made up. Remember, just because the news said it, it doesn't mean it's true.